Today, I'm going to share with you all my secrets. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. So we all have that particular rare guitar model that we're looking for, or maybe we're after our birth year guitar, but you don't know how to find it. You keep looking on eBay and Reverb, but it's just not showing up. Today, we're going to discuss every method that I use and anything hypothetically helpful that you can take advantage of to find your dream piece. Number 1, the manual daily search. This is probably the most obvious one, inspired by Lee's email here. Today, we're going to use a Voodoo Explorer, a very rare model, as the guitar we're looking for. What you do is you go to reverb.com and you search exactly for what you want. Unfortunately, no dice on Reverb. Another big gear site is eBay. We'll search for it here. Unfortunately, no. But remember, you will want to do this search every day, sometimes maybe even multiple times a day to make sure one does not get listed, because sometimes in-demand gear sells within minutes. And in order to help you remember do this, make it easy. Do saved tabs. If you're on Google Chrome, you can go over here to your settings, and when you're on that tab, you can create something down here called a bookmark. Or if you're on a Mac, do Command D. And that will create a tab right here that you can click on just, throughout the day when you're browsing, that instantly takes you to that exact save search. You can also do the same thing for eBay. There's also ways to set that up so every time you open your browser, those tabs automatically appear. Number 2, also within Reverb and eBay, you can set up a saved search. Again, type in what you want. And Reverb currently has something called Follow This Search right here underneath how many listings there are. You can click that to either add it to your daily feed email, and then you can click Save, and then anytime you're on Reverb, if you use your feed right here, if one of them has shown up, it will show up here. Currently, I just have all things Gibson in my feed because that's usually what I'm interested in. This helps you see the guitars a little bit faster. However, it is not as quick as doing a manual search. Somebody who's doing the manual search multiple times a day is still going to find that guitar before you. However, if your gear isn't crazily in demand, you can definitely wait for Reverb to email you, usually within 24 hours when one does get listed. That's what starting up that save search did for us. You can also do that exact same thing on eBay. After you've searched for what you're looking for, they have it called Save This Search with a heart. And once again, they will send you an email when one gets listed, and then on your eBay homepage, it'll show up in your save search. I'll be honest, the eBay one's not really that helpful. I never look at this side of the site, but getting the email notification will help because sometimes Japanese sellers and or brokers that you can learn about in this video tend to list things on eBay more so than they do on Reverb because it's against Reverb's terms to sell things that you don't technically own. For example, this thing is for sale by a broker for $12,000, but we just saw it by Ishibashi, I think a couple of nights ago for $8,500. You will pay a premium to someone like that, but we'll talk about Japan a little later on. So the first two, they're amateur hour. You're probably already doing it, but now I've helped you figure out how to set it up. Now let's get a little bit advanced. You're gonna wanna dust off your old Facebook account here. Did you know Facebook is no longer necessarily just social media? It's actually an online garage sale? I know, it blew my mind when I figured that out a couple of years ago. So if you don't have an account, go ahead and sign up. What you're looking for is something called Facebook Marketplace. Currently, when I'm making this video, it's this little shop icon over here. I'm sure a Google search will help you here. So, here you can see everything that everybody wants to sell you, from mowers to electric guitars that are in your area. However, this becomes increasingly useful when you open up the mileage. So you can actually change it from the radius of the default 20 miles to 500 miles. You can also change your location from, wherever you are to something like Nashville, Tennessee, where they're going to have a whole bunch of stuff. So then let's search for what we're looking for here, a Voodoo Explorer. And unfortunately, we still have not found this rare elusive guitar, but we have found some DeMarini Voodoo baseball bats. Not quite exactly what we're looking for. And again, just like number 2, you can also do notify me of this. Since I don't believe you can necessarily just do a general search of anywhere, sometimes you have to play around with your location to maybe find it. So maybe try to strategically place your searches, something like Salt Lake City, Utah, maybe then go Dallas, maybe go to the Chicago area, then maybe New York. Again, have that 500 on it and search through all that. I mean, you really can find some interesting stuff for sale. The only downside is occasionally you're going to run into somebody who's just not interested in shipping anyway. But if you do find somebody that doesn't want to ship but they will take PayPal, just pay for a UPS place to pack it and ship it for you. They're going to charge you about $250, but to get your dream guitar, that might be worth it. Number 3, guitar forums. Do not underestimate the power of a guitar forum. We're talking things like mylespaul.com, thegearpage.net. You could even do like the Ultimate Guitar Forum. I mean, there's so many different forums. Just try to find one that's actually still active and popular. And most of them have some sort of a buy, trade, sell area. So you want to go to the classifieds and basically post a want to buy ad. Now, the only downside is if you're looking for a deal on your guitar, yeah, you're not going to get that doing a want to buy ad. You're going to have to pay a premium price when you're headhunting something. So sometimes it's best just to wait, for that whole manual search, save search, guitar already listed on Facebook Marketplace thing to show up if you're trying to get a good price. But generally accepted terms for forums are WTB, then whatever you're looking for. And that stands for want to buy, Voodoo Explorer Gibson. Sometimes that can just show up in a typical Google search if you post to one of these forums. However, also tied within here, your good old Facebook account again. Go over here to your search bar and try to find like a general keyword. So like here, we'll try Gibson guitar, and then come down here to groups. These are basically the modern day equivalent of guitar forums that have really just taken over lately. Unfortunately, they don't get as indexed as an actual website, so we kind of lose a lot of guitar history because of that. But like right here, Gibson Guitars and Gear, there's 5,000 members, or Gibson Guitar Owners, there's 47,000 people. Maybe you're looking for an SG. I mean, this place gets 10 posts a day, 20,000 members. You can also do that same want to buy ad. First off though, make sure you read the rules, ensure that that group allows want to buy posts, and stay safe out there, because if somebody knows you're looking for that, they might just try to steal old photos of one and then try to sell it to you. Make sure you pay with PayPal or something that gives you buyer protection. Never, unless you fully know and trust the person, ever use PayPal gift, Zelle, or anything like that. So for example, one that I like to look at is called just Gibson Les Paul, but it's only Les Paul, so you couldn't look for an Explorer here. And who knows, even if it's not a particularly large group, you can still post in it and see if anybody has it. You would be surprised about some of these small groups and the people that are within them. Like for example, this tiny thing. 350 members for Spotlight Special, 2550, and the Les Paul groups. And they just have so many of these guitars in here. You might just find exactly what you're looking for. You just never know until you start going and searching for it. In fact, sometimes a smaller group might be better. Number 5, Craigslist. Okay, so this is very similar to number 3, the whole Facebook Marketplace thing. It's just a bit more older and antiquated, in my opinion. But you can go to Craigslist and you can search, in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Chicago, Chillicothe, wherever you are in the world, you can definitely see it. You can also do some Canadian side things. But let me tell you, if you're doing Craigslist this way, you're doing it wrong. This might help you find a local thing. However, there's actually a site called searchcraigslist.org that you can search all of Craigslist. So, Voodoo Explorer. After you get through all your advertisements that get your hopes up, you can see if anybody has a Voodoo Explorer on here, they can do that. And remember, you can tie this in with that whole bookmarked page or automatically comes in when you click on your browser. Then as a fun bonus 5.5, remember, guitars are all over the whole entire world. So you gotta remember your foreign markets. The popular Canadian version of Craigslist is called Kijiji, Kijiji. Kinda strange, but it is what it is. Let's see if they've got our Voodoo Explorer here. Nope. Still didn't get it, but again, they also have notifications if it ever does, so go ahead and sign up for that. Also, go ahead and just do your whole bookmark thing. When it comes to Japan, their equivalent is just Yahoo Japan. Now, this gets a little bit trickier because you have to know Japan or have a way to translate a lot of this stuff if your browser doesn't do it for you. This is basically a search on Japan side of things, so you might be able to find the guitar in Japan using this, but a lot of times you'll be pulling up USA and other worldwide releases anyway. So sometimes, like when I was hunting down some Gibson Spotlight specials, I could actually find different ones on Yahoo Japan or Google Japan that I couldn't see otherwise, because you can narrow it down to Japanese articles only. And also you can specify, was it posted within a month ago or within a week or even within 24 hours. That's how sometimes you can find some special ones. But if you go back to Yahoo Japan's page and click on this is more so the Craigslist equivalent. It's called Yahoo Japan Auctions. So I guess it's kind of like eBay. It's just a whole mixing. You can find some interesting stuff here. There's a whole bunch of places that will help you get Japan exclusive things. Like, for example, right here on the top of the page, Buy E. But let me tell you, when it comes to guitars and stuff, those processes are not very good. I mean, they're good if you're trying to buy a jacket or a purse or, some sort of apparel or maybe a collectible card or something. But some of them will help you get guitars. So here we go. Let's see, are we lucky? Nope, but we did find some other interesting stuff. Like, look, maple fretboard Les Paul Custom. I would assume that's somewhere around 4,000 USD. Not a bad deal if you can win the auction, but remember, it's just like eBay, and good luck returning anything if it's not as described. But if you're desperate, it's a way to find the guitar. Another good source in Japan is Ishibashi Music, but remember, you're going to have import duties and taxes and a whole bunch of other headaches that come along with buying something from Japan. I do offer a forwarding service if you want me to take care of that for you, but Ishibashi is essentially the Japanese equivalent to our Guitar Center, but better, in my opinion. So you can go to their website to see if you can actually find what you're looking for. It's not necessarily going to be perfect, but you never know what you're going to find in Japan. But sadly, no Voodoo Explorers for us. This is one of my best kept secrets as well. It's called digimart.net, very similar to essentially Reverb, but on the Japanese side of things. Speaking of which, did you know Reverb is an international company as well? Just because it doesn't show up here, you actually need to go to your filter settings and change your ships to. This is how we can actually see things like the European demo shop. You have to change it to your particular one, but thankfully, we're not trying to get into the EU demo shop. This is just change it to everywhere. This will help you find sellers that won't necessarily ship to you, but you can beg and plead with them. It just depends how desperate you are to get something. Once you have that setting on, it'll actually tell you where these things are located in the world. So right here, Germany, whole bunch of US because that's mainly what Reverb is. But for example, if we search Gibson Melody Maker TV Yellow 2006, even though I know that there is one of these things for sale in the world, if I still have this as continental US or wherever you're located at only, it's not going to show up. But if you change it to everywhere, bam, right there. So all along, it might have been there, what you were looking for, it just wasn't shipping to your area. So this is when you have to beg and plead with the seller, and it really depends, how much money is this guitar worth to you if you want to find it. Okay, so those are my big 5 of how I do things, and it's very successful. However, sometimes you're desperate. You're looking for something crazily rare. I'm not saying these next 5 or 6 are going to be your most productive, best use of your time, but if you've tried everything else and you still haven't found it and you need it, here's what I would suggest next. Type yourself in the good old youtube.com. Type in what you want, and look for a video that somebody has the guitar in their possession and they're talking about it. Unfortunately, bad example. Nobody's ever made a video on a Voodoo Explorer. Come on. This is why I started my channel, is we needed to document these things. But for example, let's say we were looking at Vampire Blood Moon. You've got this weird Trogly guy over here tearing it apart, and then you've got this guy who buys out the whole entire Dave Mustaine collection and people hate him for it. Either way, both of us have provided a service to the world in showing the guitar. So you could come over here and be like, hey, is this still available? And hope they see it. Occasionally, you will find very small channels, just showing off their gear. For example, something like this. If you were looking for a Spotlight Special, very low views, very high chance that they will actually respond to you. Look, this was posted in 2019. This guy's saying how much 5 months ago, and he actually got a response in a relatively timely manner. You just never know. Also, along the same lines here for number 6, this doesn't necessarily apply to Gibson guitars anymore. However, Gibson used to have a little discuss comment section down here that you could leave a comment on saying, hey, anybody willing to sell this model from that particular page? Again, it might take a couple of years for somebody to look at that because somebody who's selling this particular guitar might stumble across that when they're trying to figure out information about the guitar to list it for sale. So you might get a hit on that in a couple months to a couple thousand years later. It's worth a shot. Number 7 falls upon the annoying side, unfortunately, but again, we're desperate here. So go back to Reverb, and you're going to want to filter it to your sold listings. Now here's a pro tip. The Reverb app, the actual app you go to the App Store to get, for whatever reason, it documents more sold things than the actual website anymore. But you can go to these actual sold listings and you can message the seller. So example, Tim had one. Unfortunately, this one's been modified, but whatever. You can say something along the lines of this. Hi Tim, I've been looking for one of these Voodoo Explorers for quite some time. I realize this one has sold, but could you please send my contact information to the person who bought this from you? Thank you, Austin. Put your phone number, put your email, you're good to go. 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you to buzz off. And I only suggest doing this once again if you're willing to pay a premium price, because if this guy bought it for $26,000 and $200, he's not going to sell it for that same price. In this case, I think you would have to at least be willing to pay $3,500. I mean, make it worth their time, right? But you can do this exact same thing on eBay. It's just a little bit more difficult because they tend to archive their stuff after 90 days. This is something that I do for people of guitars that I have sold. Sometimes it works out for them, sometimes it doesn't. 9 times out of 10, they've already moved it on, but eventually maybe your contact information will get to the right guy. Sometimes Google search is also your friend if you can't figure out that whole save search stuff, because Google pulls these things up at no problem. They can also find listings that were just ended and not necessarily sold. So definitely do both, because you can send messages to all these guys. But definitely take note how long ago it was listed. If it was a couple of months ago, your chances are high. If it was 5 years ago, your chances are very, very, very extremely low. Kind of as an aside here, you could also search for it at heritage auctions if it's something, particularly rare, like an artist model. Occasionally, the people who won these auctions, they will let you make an offer on it, such as this Foo Fighters signed DG335. It only sold for $17,000, and you're going to have to offer them $25,000 to get it, but it's there. It's kind of like messaging them. 9 times out of 10, they never respond, but, it kind of falls into our number 7 category here. Number 8, if you still want to pester people, get on the phone and call up the largest shops in whatever country you're in. So for example, USA, maybe call Groon's Guitars, The Music Zoo, Chicago Music Exchange, Cream City Music. I know these guys frequent every single guitar show ever done. Or maybe even Norm's Rare Guitars. And ask them, do they know anybody who has your particular guitar? Can they keep an eye out for one of them? Now, a lot of times shops won't do this, or maybe they will have a list, or they won't call you back, but it doesn't hurt. Now, me personally, I don't do that anymore. That's why I'm making this video, to help you do what I would do for you, because the list just got too long. I would forget people, unless it's a guitar I was already searching for anyways and just wanted to document and then flip it to the next guy. Maybe just then I would have gotten back to you. But I'm sorry, I've got over 200,000 people watching my show. I just can't do that anymore. But sometimes these smaller specialized shops, they go to these guitar shows. They might see it, and they might otherwise not have purchased it. Also, don't be scared to throw them, like a 20 just to keep it on their radar or something. That way they know you're serious. I wouldn't suggest putting a full deposit down anywhere, but it never hurts to ask, the big shops that specialize in whatever you're looking for. For example, if you're looking for an exotic arch top, maybe contact the archtop.com guys. However, be very careful doing this, because you might be stepping on your own toes, because these dealers, they know everything else I've just told you. So now they are going to also have a manual search going on. So now they are also going to have a save search. So if they find it 5 minutes before you, you now have to pay a 50% premium. So maybe don't call every shop, just call a couple of them, right? The idea is to get the guitar and get an okay price, not super crazy dealer inflated prices. But, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, so the past ideas, they're fairly realistic. This is when you're getting so absolutely insane, you will do whatever it takes. This is very similar to the whole Craigslist thing, and I called that one antiquated. Now we can actually go back to print. This is how it used to be done. Take out a classified in a huge city. We're talking New York, Chicago, Nashville especially, Seattle, Washington. These things are going to cost you a lot of money just to run a small wanted ad, but you never know. A lot of guitar collectors are old school. They might still read newspapers or might get it online, or somebody that's a friend of somebody else will see the ad and be like, hey, don't you have one of those things? This guy's willing to pay money. I would certainly take advantage of all these other free ones before you go as crazy as this, but hey, if Jimmy Page can do it back in the 70s to find his 3-pickup Les Paul Beauty custom, you can do it too. He didn't have success necessarily with that, but you're just looking for a particular model, right? And if all else has failed you, my friend, get yourself on over to Fiverr.com. What you're going to want to search for is SEO website. Now, these are going to vary depending on how much you want to spend. But click on one of these guys and have them develop you a one-page website that has all of the keywords that you need to pull up this guitar. So for example, Voodoo Explorer. Basically, have them optimize a web page that says, I want to buy a Voodoo Explorer. Have them design a site that has everything about these. Red and black pickups, swamp ash body, red grain fill. Have a little history article written about this. And just make sure it is so optimized, whenever anybody searches online for a Voodoo Explorer, you're going to show up as the #1 top result. So somebody who's looking for information, similar back to the old specs page I was talking about, this is going to show up. They're going to find your website. They will find your contact information there. A couple $100 will get you this little website up and running for a couple of years. Or learn how to do it yourself. Websites can get complicated, but there's other services that make it pretty easy. A very prime example of somebody doing this is for late 60s Flying Vs and the Medallion Vs of the 70s. It's a very basic website. Weebly.com. I'm pretty sure this is just a free website, but he's got photos of his collection here. He's got information. He takes fan submissions. This is very similar to what I kind of do for other models, just in video format, but his is in article format. But the difference is this guy is actively buying these. So he teaches you about them, and then he also gives you contact information, and he is willing to buy them, is the way I understand it. So, that's kind of how my channel works as well. I've kind of made a name for myself for particular models. Like, again, we'll bring up the Spotlight specials. I get people contacting me wanting to sell Spotlights because they've seen my videos. They know I love them. So I guess if you want a bonus 11th one, make a video of you just, pleading, please sell me your Voodoo Explorer. I've searched the entire world and nobody's selling one. Now let's talk birthday, birth year guitars, because those are pretty difficult to find. There is no magic trick to finding this. You can use all these other things that I've taught you in this video, but manual search and save searches and constantly just looking every day is eventually what is going to pay off. If you were born before 1977, sorry, you're out of luck in the Gibson realm. And if you were born in 1994, except for on acoustics, you're not going to be able to find your match. Or if you were born between 2014 and early 2019, you're not going to be able to find a match there either, because it's 1977 when Gibson does the whole year, day, year, production number, serial number sequence. Because those 3 digits right there tell you what day of the year it was made. So that is a holy grail for some people. Sometimes that can be helpful, but really the best way to find your birthday, birth year guitar is just do the manual search every day. If you need a 1981 on the 231st day of the year, search 1981 Gibson. Set up your save search. Look at this, at least once a day. Come through here, you're eventually going to start memorizing what you've looked at already. Click through every single one of these and see if they have your serial number listed somewhere. It's very common for places not to list the serial numbers because they're scared it was stolen or somebody can identify it based on that number. So if they don't have the serial number publicly listed, here's what you do. You send them a message like this. State your business. You're looking for a birthday, birth year guitar. But don't tell them too much. Don't tell them the exact numbers you want, because then if you found the match, they're going to jack the price up on you. And don't be prying for too much information. You only need the first 5 digits. So just ask for those. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a response to something like this. Whether they tell you to buzz off or actually have an answer, you're going to get a lot more responses rather than posting this. What's the serial number? That's gonna scare the crap out of sellers. That's why I say, state your business, don't give them too much of your information, and don't ask for too much from them. Because if you do find it this way, you could say something like this. Darn, 5 days off, but oh well, maybe we could work a deal on this, while I keep searching for the actual one. And then tell them when you actually get it. I mean, it's a little bit dirty, but you don't want to tip your hands here. So, Mr. Lee, I'm sorry. I've exhausted all of my options today, and I've taught the world how to find their guitars. There are just no Voodoo Explorers left. So hey, if you've got a Voodoo Explorer and you want to sell it, contact me. I know a guy. Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. This will not be a viral hit, but I hope you found it incredibly helpful in finding whatever guitar that plagues your mind. And if you have a different idea of how somebody can find their guitar, leave it in the comments. Let's all help each other out. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.